A New Year's resolution for your career. Joining us for this week's Smith Business Close-Up is Joyce Russell, Vice Dean of the University of Maryland's Robert H. Smith School of Business and the Director of the school's Executive Coaching and Leadership Development Program. Dr. Russell, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to see you again. A lot of people set New Year's resolutions of all sorts, some focused on their career. Is that a good idea, bad idea?
Well, I think research shows that about half of Americans do set New Year's resolutions as regards to their careers, yet less than 10% of them are actually successful in reaching those career resolutions. So I think it's actually a good idea, but I think there's a lot of reasons why they don't work. And I think some of those are they just set too many. They set some really vague career objectives. They really don't have a way of measuring progress toward them, and they really don't anticipate for any problems that they might run into en route to trying to address those career resolutions. So I think it's a good idea, but I don't think they necessarily have a good strategy for how to do it.
So what can we do to come up with a good New Year's resolution on the career front? If my objective was I'm going to resolve to be elected president of the United States this year, it's probably a little unrealistic.
Well, I don't know about you personally. It might be for most people, I think, that it would be unrealistic. But I think we would say, well, I have some research colleagues here at the Smith School of Business, and we've done a fair amount of research in this area. And I think we have some good ideas for how you can be more successful at reaching these career goals. So we would say, probably the first thing you need to do is really reflect back on the past year. And first, think about what worked and what didn't work. What were you successful at? What weren't you successful at? Then actually come up with one or two major career goals that you might want to focus on. Not so many, but just one or two. And then we would suggest following what many organizations do, which is using SMART goals. And that means the S stands for specific. So coming up with something that's sort of detailed. Maybe you want to improve language proficiency. The M stands for measurable. Or what's the way that you could assess that? Is there, you could get information from clients in terms of satisfaction on your language proficiency. A stands for actionable or attainable. So maybe you could take a class. That's something you can actually do online, in person. The R stands for realistic. So is it something, I don't want to say that I'm going to be fluent in Spanish, right away, or I'm going to become president of the United States tomorrow. But I might actually say, well, maybe I could get conversational level of Spanish. And the T stands for time bound. So when we come up with this goal, in what time period? So if we said, well, maybe I'll be conversational in Spanish at the end of the second quarter. So we would suggest think back on what you want to do and what you've done this past year. Think about one or two goals for the future, and then use the SMART goal approach to really try to reach those goals.
So it sounds to me that this is more about positioning yourself for future success than going out to try to grab that success right away.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the reason that many people fail, it's that sometimes they'll think they just don't have willpower, but it's not really about willpower. It's really about having a plan and a strategy for the future and being really specific about what's the one or two things you can really try to accomplish in the next year coming up. And if they think about that and they come up with a plan for how to deal with that, and also if they really anticipate potential obstacles that they might face, and think about, well, what can I do if I run into some slip-ups and I get off track? How can I get myself back on track? Then I think that helps them to be successful.
Well, let me get your perspective on this, and it's a little off target for what you do, but the typical New Year's resolution is, I'm going to lose 5 or 10 pounds, I'm going to exercise more, and they sell a lot of gym memberships in January and never see the people again after February. So we're talking about the same ideas of accountability and following through and having realistic goals.
Yes, absolutely. And, some of the research shows that most people fall off those goals, whether they're about health, fitness, career goals, within 2 weeks. of the new year. And really it's because, like we said, they don't have a plan. The other thing they could do is they could let other people know about their goal, because that helps to hold them accountable, and it also provides a social support for them to help encourage them to stay on task towards goal. So whether they're career goals or whether they're personal goals, having a strategy, having a plan, holding yourself accountable with letting other people know about it, any of those things would be helpful to make it successful.
All right, great advice. Dr. Joyce Russell joining us from the Smith School of Business. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jeff. A pleasure to be here.